Welcome to Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to just one person, or indeed an entire group of people, this very week. The main goal of Copytraders Club is to help copy traders do better. So, who better to speak to than a long-term copy trader who has enjoyed great success? We have one of those today. Here we go. Episode 43 of Copytraders Club, and we've done a lot of talking about best practices in copy trading and what pitfalls to avoid if you want to achieve success over the years at this new branch of investing. Today we welcome Adam Davies to the Copytraders Clubhouse. He has years of copy trading experience and years of great results to show for it. What are the secrets to his success? Let's find out. Adam, hello. Welcome to Copytraders Club.
Hi, how are we doing?
I'm very well, and all the better for seeing you. I know you've heard a few episodes, so you know that in order to get access to the VIP lounge, you need to answer a series of quickfire questions. Ready for those?
Yeah, let's do it.
Username on eToro.
Adam PD1.
Date you joined eToro.
July 2017.
Year of birth.
1995.
Place of residence.
Pewsey, Wiltshire.
Profession.
Pilot.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
Enough to buy a house.
Name one of your investing heroes.
I don't really have one, so I guess I'd say Wesley.
Name one of your favourite investing books.
Again, not an investing book, but The Infinite Machine.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed into our VIP section here at the Clubhouse. The splendid Copytraders Lounge awaits. Adam Davies, are you ready for this magical transition?
I'm ready.
Okay, Adam, you can sit back and relax now that we're here in the Copytraders Lounge. Does its magnificence live up to your expectations?
Oh, it's everything I've heard about.
Very good. Okay, so, Adam, you're a copier and not a PI, so there's less of a need in this chat to really get to know everything we need to about you. But maybe you could give us a brief description just to paint a picture so we understand better your objectives on eToro. So age, profession, that kind of thing.
So a bit about me. I'm 26 years old. I've just finished my training to be a commercial pilot. We're waiting for the aviation industry to get back on its feet. Previously, I was a chef for 4 years. So started as a pot wash and then moved up to a sous chef, so that was good fun. And yeah, my goal was to just kind of with any savings and any extra money to invest, copy people, and I'm quite heavily in crypto at the moment, so that's one thing too that I quite like.
So you're 26 and you've been investing for a few years, so you started pretty young. Maybe not for your generation, but certainly historically. A lot of people don't start investing in their early 20s.
Yeah, well, I saw my money sat in the all my savings in the bank just sat there, not really doing a lot. So I thought, what can I do with this to put it to good use? And then discovered eToro and the brilliant thing that is copy trading to help me earn some returns on that money.
So you're young, free and single, no dependents, I'm guessing?
No, just a partner in Cambridge at the moment.
Okay, so you're in the business of growing your wealth for all your future expenses later in life.
Yes, yeah, I'm looking for the long-term investment rather than to make a good amount of money in a year. I look at it over 10, 20 years, if not more.
Okay, good man. I wish I'd had your wisdom when I was in my early 20s. Right, so you've outlined your long-term approach. What are the main rules you live by in terms of eToro to try and achieve those objectives?
I'd say the main one is just patience. I know a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people who kind of with copy trading will jump around a lot. They'll invest in one person and then say they have a week, a month of red. They might jump out, move to someone else, jump out, move to someone else, which I've seen is just a good way to lose money quickly. So my main rule is just patience.
Do you contribute every month or very regularly?
At the moment, every 3 or 4 months I try and put a bit in. It's been hard over the past 3 years because I've been training, so I haven't really had a long term. I've had jobs here and there, but nothing consistent as I've had to move around locations a lot. So I haven't been able to put as much in as I want to, but every 3 or 4 months I'm able to put a little bit in.
And when you have a consistent wage, would you be planning to make it a disciplined, regular deposit?
Yeah, I'd like to put in monthly, and then either, as with copying, instead of putting little bits in each person, just save up until I've got a good amount and then either copy someone new or put a lot extra on, or put a good amount extra on someone I'm already copying, rather than adding little bits because I know it can mess up the copy.
Okay, so how did you come to be at Copytraders Club? That's the question. How come we're talking?
I follow a few PIs on Twitter, and one of them was Jay, who I commented on. I replied to some of his tweets, and you approached me on there, and we said we'd do a podcast together and have a talk about copy trading.
Because I've been looking for long-term traders, and Jay put the word out to his legions of adoring fans. Would any long-term copiers of mine like to partake? And you raised your hand.
Yeah, that was it. He posted about how have you been copying him for a long time, because I started copying him just before, or it was in 2017, so just before the 2018 crypto dip, crash, whatever you want to call it. So probably could have got in at one of the worst times, as he instantly went into the red pretty quickly.
Well, let's talk about that later, because I'm sure that's a rich seam of conversation to have. Let's talk more generally about you as a copier. Have you ever actually written out your copy trading manifesto?
No, I don't think so. It's all just in my head.
Can you translate it from your head to your mouth right now and tell us what would it look like?
I'd say if I was to write out my manifesto, it would be that I was here for 10 to 20 years for long-term investment strategies and to copy. I think ideally I'd like to have 6 to 8 people copying who I could just leave my investment in for 20 years and come back and see where it's at.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't just go away for 20 years and then come
No,
back.
but yeah,
You're going to monitor it.
Yeah.
You touch on something there which is also worthy of further probing later in terms of the kind of PI you're after. So how did you get started on eToro? Where did you first hear about it?
So I was working with a friend who he found success on YouTube, so as video editing and as cameraman for a while, and he first discovered crypto, and we built some mining rigs to mine Ethereum, I think some Zcash, I think some Dogecoin back when it was much less than it was now. And he then found eToro, and he was actually the first person that got me onto J, because he was obviously known for being the crypto guy, kind of, I guess, back then in 2016, 2017. So after that, I decided to take a look at it further, and that's when, I discovered eToro, the copy trading side of it, the different PIs that you could invest in, and that's when I started my journey.
Is eToro one of several investing arms that you have?
Yeah, I'd say eToro's, outside of eToro, I think I only really invest in other crypto. But on eToro, that's why I try and use eToro to diversify a bit, which is not as diverse as it should be. So the first platform I started using was Plus 500, which is where I didn't know what I was doing. That was the first thing I went on, and I leveraged something which I can't remember what it was. And I think that's where I lost about £1,000 in 4 hours or so. So I decided, that's when I found copytrading. Once my friend put me onto it, and decided that was a much safer and less risky way to learn about what I wanted to do and how to invest my money.
So you say a friend put you on to J. You didn't ever use Editor's Choice initially to look for PIs?
At the beginning, no. I just he told me about J, and then I copied from that. And I use Editor's Choice now every so often to have a look and see what's new, and see who I might want to copy in the future. At the beginning, I didn't use Editor's Choice. I just copied J, and then from that, followed other people he would follow, and had a look at kind of the bigger names at the time, rather than anyone who was kind of up and coming.
Okay, so are you on eToro on a daily basis, or how frequently do you check in?
Yeah, I'd say I probably look at eToro 6 to 10 times a day. I'm kind of always just on it. Every time I'm at the gym, or just any time I've got some spare time, I'll be looking at it just to check. Even though I don't do anything on it, it's just kind of checking. I like to see what's going on.
And do you have lots of friends who are also on eToro? Do you get to chat to them about the goings on?
Yeah, because I talk about it quite a lot, and I've helped a few people get introduced to eToro and give them many pointers that I've learned over the years. So yeah, I've got quite a few. I probably know about 10 people who I know who are currently on eToro and copying people, so I can talk to them about it.
Okay, well, that's great, because you're here to do exactly the same thing for the listener. Give us your pointers. Okay, so one of the reasons I started this podcast was to try and learn all about copy trading, because it seemed to me there was a bit of a lack of information, guidance as to how to be a copy trader and what pitfalls to avoid and strategies you could maybe employ. And I'm still learning. There are things I learn all the time about eToro and copy trading. Do you find that? Are there things that you're still learning, or do you think you've got pretty good handle on how it all works?
I find in general I understand how most of it works, but I'm still learning. I feel one thing I learned recently, even a month or two ago, was exactly what Max Drawdown was when you look to go copy someone. I feel I looked at it and just looked for smaller numbers, but I didn't entirely understand what it was. So I went away and had a look at it, and now understand that it's what it is and why you want to look at it, and how that could affect something like a copy stop loss that you might set.
So what did you find out about it that you didn't know? Can you expand on that?
Say for the daily max drawdown could be where if they've had a bad day where they might go into -5%, -3%, whatever that might be, but that they'll come back from it on the same day. So it's just the most
It's the lowest point that they reach. It's like the bottom of the candle.
Yes, exactly. The bottom of a candle for either the day, the week, or the year. So now that I understand that a bit more, it can help me when I'm looking at new PIs to invest in.
I just noticed that really myself. I mean, I kind of knew that was the case, but I have a second account and I noticed my Max Drawdown was far higher than I was expecting. It's far higher than the monthly chart would suggest.
Yeah, when you start to look for it, I found someone who I thought, oh, they've had good returns. They've got a good history. I can't remember the name of them now, but I think their max yearly drawdown was something like 45%. So I need to look into that a bit more and find out exactly why that was. But that's just something that, you can have a great history, you can have a long history of good trading, but then there's like little things like that which I always feel I need to look into a bit more before copying someone.
Okay, let's have a question from the art of people. Can you pick a number between 1 and 10?
6.
What's one thing you would like to be doing or to have 5 years from now? Wow, this is the longest thought.
That's tough. I can't think. 5 years from now. Ideally, I'd like to be in a pilot job in sometime in the next 5 years, depending if when the aviation industry gets back up on its feet.
Long haul.
I think I'd rather short haul. I think long haul is more for the lifestyle of going away for 4-day trips to Jamaica or Cape Town. But I think short haul, I'd rather be back in my own bed each night.
Okay, Adam, let's get started in this section by me asking you just a few questions about your settings that you employ in eToro. Do you copy open trades or not?
Yes, always copy open trades, as I'm always copying someone for the long term, and I feel you want to get all their trades as you can. And also, you don't know how often some PIs might hold a position for a few years rather than cycle positions. So I wouldn't want that cash just sat there not really doing anything while I wait for them to close a few year old positions and open them again.
Do you set a copy stop loss?
I don't.
What do you mean by that? Do you reduce it to the minimum?
Yeah, I put my copy stop loss right down to the bottom.
Why?
I suppose when I copy someone, I feel like I'm trusting them with it, and I know you should still be careful with it and still have protection against if the market moves in some crazy way. But I suppose that's where I have a bit of risk appetite in my investing strategy.
I do the same. My fear is that I'm going to be locking in big losses in the event of a drop, and I'd rather trust my PIs to get me out of it rather than automatically intervene to guarantee disaster.
Yeah, that's the same. I feel I've trusted this person who I've copied, and I feel if there was a big movement down, that if it triggered a copy stop loss, I'd then lose whatever percentage of money up to that point. Whereas I feel that person's going to be in a better position. All I do is probably take the money out and then copy the person again. So I'd rather just leave it in, and then because they also don't want to be in the red. It's they're investing. It's their money on the other side anyway. So they want to do their best to recuperate what they can, get back into the green.
Plus, of course, if your copy stop loss is hit with J Nemesis, you'll never get back into that exclusive club again.
Exactly. There's no way back in there now, and there could not be for a few years, or if ever, if his AUM keeps going up.
Would you ever close individual trades? Under what circumstances?
Yes, I don't often do it, and I think I can only think of, to be honest, I only think of one time when I did, and that was when the whole GME craze was going on, and I wasn't a fan of it. That was maybe too much risk, or just that I wasn't involved in it or didn't know what was going on. I just knew something was happening that I wasn't a fan of. And I was copying Liam Davies at the time, and he opened a positioning game, or GME, and I closed that pretty quickly because I did not want to. I was more worried about the drawdown and the potential to have a position holding on, waiting for it to go back up, than I was for any percentage gain that could have been made.
And how did that work out?
Yeah, I think I sold it at a good time. I think then it dropped for quite a bit. I don't know if it went back up or anything. I didn't follow it after that, but I only lost, a small percentage on it, and that was fine for me.
All right, let's talk about managing your portfolio. You've already said you check eToro multiple times a day. And you also mentioned earlier that you talk to your friends a lot about copy trading and your eToro journey, and you've given them advice. So let's go into that a little bit. What sort of things do you tell them when they come to you and they say they're interested? Or maybe the first question they ask is, is this a safe thing to be doing? How can you trust it?
So when people come to me asking, is it safe? I tell them that it's very highly regulated. It's also insured against any loss. So, whatever, up to whatever monetary figure that is, they're fine with that. I was telling them about the, it's all do your own research, but I can give them advice on what I've done over the years and how, by just kind of, for copy trading, just leaving something for 3 or 4 years, I'd say it's returned X amount. It doesn't mean that it always will, but that it's, that's what's worked for me. I also think eToro's got the great feature of the virtual portfolio. So I say, if anyone comes to me and says they're thinking about it, but they're not too sure, I say, just make an account, make a virtual portfolio, put in, it gives you whatever it is, $100,000 or pounds to work with. But I say, just use whatever you think you would put in at the time, whether it be, 1,000, 5,000, whatever, and then just open up, either copy someone or copy a few people who you would do, or invest in something you might look at and just see how that goes. And then you can also learn how eToro works as a whole, before putting any real money into it.
Well, speaking of real money, I guess you would show them your returns down the years. I'm just looking at your stats page at the moment. You joined in July 2017. And let me just run through the year's results. 2017, 46%. 2018, minus 57%. 2019, 53%. 2020, 73%. And 2021, year to date, 113%. So certainly those last few years are looking very impressive and going in the right direction as well, year upon year.
Yeah, the last few years have been good. I say there's that 2018 dip that happened, but I think that was mainly cryptocurrencies that caught me out there.
I'm hoping you're going to tell me back then you started with much smaller amounts and your invested pot has been growing in accordance with your rising returns.
Yep, I'd say, I started off, I can't remember exactly. I don't really know exactly how much I put in over the years extra, but I think I've managed to 5 times my investment from when I started in 2017, both in and out of eToro.
So you currently copy 2 PIs. Tell us who they are and why you think they're so good?
So yeah, the two I currently copy are Jay and Wes. As you say, Jay's a very exclusive club right now, as no one else can copy. And Wesley, I was copying. I copied at the same time as Jay, and they both, I think, after 3 years of copying both of them, they were both sat around 100 to 110% profit. And then Wes added more money, so I had to uncopy him and copy him again because I didn't have the funds to add at that point. So I've copied them both for about 4 years now. And Jay, I originally got into copying was because of as I was learning about crypto and getting into that myself, he was more into it then back in 2017 than he is now. Obviously, so he's got to protect when I say that, I just mean on eToro, because he's obviously got to protect all his copiers now.
Yeah, I think he's still very much into crypto, but not so much on eToro. He limits his exposure.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think from listening to him, I feel I've learned a lot from him over the years, from his various Twitch streams and the content he puts out on eToro and his website and Discord. The same with Wes. I really like how much he communicates and how many posts and how many updates he puts out about his investing strategies, different companies he's investing in, what's good about them, what's bad about them, their futures. And yeah, I really like that in a PI, just that communication and being able to and I think they both do it really well, and they both have they had a great history of investing on the platform back when I copied them.
Wes is a much more frequent communicator, isn't he? He does his weekly videos.
Yeah, he's really on top of it with all of that.
Jay does less frequent video interactions, doesn't he?
Yeah, he used to live stream either once a week or once a month, I think it was. But now he's brought that back down just to his quarterly earnings and the Q&As he does, which, you know, is fair enough, as he's got to be busy researching and doing a lot of reading.
Do you find yourself recommending Jay and Wesley to people? Or maybe not Jay, but is Wesley the kind of PI you would recommend to your friends?
Yeah, Wes is definitely one of them. I think Wesley's a really, really smart man. And I think he's got a good diverse portfolio for what people starting off might need. I recommend a few others who I am yet to copy, so I can't say that I would know from experience what they're like, but it's people that I've found that in the future I'd like to copy once I rotate some funds around.
Do tell.
So one I've looked at for a while, I think I found them 2 or 3 years ago, is Slow and Steady, who primarily trades in ETFs. There's also, I don't know if I say Alnef, who's into currencies, and he's got a good history.
Al-Nayef,
that's it. And Trade FX 525, I think, has a good range of a good diverse portfolio, and he's someone else I'd like to put some money into copying at some point.
So it sounds like you're looking for diversification of asset classes there.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I feel I'm not exposed to enough markets I need to be.
Interesting. Al-Nayef, I think there's some sort of issue there with the fact that he has an Islamic account and therefore certain aspects won't copy across or won't be reflected in your account if you don't have an Islamic account. Are you familiar with that issue?
Oh no, I'm not. That's interesting. I need to look into that.
Well, like all the penetrating insights that I deliver, it came from Felix Falix's YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
You might want to have a look at that, particularly for Al-Nayef. Do you watch that YouTube channel?
I haven't in a while. I think I'm subscribed to it, but I haven't watched any videos.
Shame on you. So you copy 2 PIs at the moment, but as you mentioned earlier, and as I saw in your history, you used to copy Liam Davis, or perhaps he's Davies also, no relation, I assume.
No, not that I know of.
He's a PI I'm aware of, but I haven't really looked into in any great way. He's quite crypto heavy from what I know. And I'm wondering whether you stopped copying him because you were gaining confidence in crypto yourself, or you thought, I can do this, I don't really need to have a crypto heavy PI. Is that right?
Yeah, I say that's some of it is the fact I saw that he himself had a lot of crypto and I had a lot of crypto, so I kind of thought, well, is there much point copying someone who's also so heavily into it? Because I looked to copy people as to diversify away from cryptocurrencies. And also, he's very long. Not that there's no problem with it. It's a different trading strategy, but he holds positions for a very long time. Where I also feel that like there's nothing stopping me to just buy Apple or Facebook or anything and just hold it for 5 years, 10 years. I feel I'm looking more for people I want to copy are more traders, not necessarily daily traders, but just people who are going to trade on a more regular basis than holding some positions for years is fine, but I feel when most of your portfolio is held for a long time, for a year or 2 years, it's just I don't see a huge upside to copying that.
Okay, so you mentioned your portfolio makeup there. I could just describe that as I'm looking at your pie chart. In terms of allocation, 40% is copying people and 60% is markets. That breaks down to 64% crypto and 36% stocks.
Yeah.
That's not dissimilar to mine in a sense. You know, I started copying people and then I decided I want to get into crypto. And then when Bitcoin dropped down into the 40s and the 30s, I started purchasing some crypto, not really knowing what I'm doing. So just recently I started taking a few profits and rolling them into my copies, or one of them in particular. Is that sort of your plan, or are you sitting on your cryptos for a long time?
I'd say that's similar to my plan. Any cryptos I own in eToro, I feel I have rough price targets for. I haven't set anything in stone, but I feel I'd like to slowly move my eToro funds out of crypto and put them into copying people or topping up, because I feel I want to top up J and Wes a bit. Yeah, bring the copies up to, I want to have about, ideally I'd like to copy about 6 to 8 people. I feel with cryptos outside of eToro, I will continue to trade and continue to hold, but primarily I'm hoping to eventually turn eToro into just a copy portfolio.
Okay, interesting. How long had you been copying Liam Davis for?
I think I copied him for a year. It was around 10 to 12 months.
So even that's a reasonable stretch. You've never abandoned a PI throughout your history in less than a year?
No, I feel when I invest in a PI, I want them, or when I copy a PI, I'm there for the longer run, be it looking at 10 years ahead. I feel a lot of people kind of jump around PIs if they have a few red months or anything. Like take this year, for example, Wesley's not had the greatest run throughout the year, but I copied him because I trust him, and from my previous experience with him, I think he's incredibly smart, and what he's done over the 3 years I was copying him before, it was great. I mean, he was using leverage back then as well, which I know he doesn't really use now, so that would have helped. But I don't think that takes away from his dedication and his strategy for investing. And yeah, even though he's had like, even if someone has a bit of a few rough months or a rough year, overall I'm looking at the longer picture, so that doesn't really matter too much.
Dear listener, just a little pause here to say a few things directly to you. The calendar is full until the end of the year. That will mean 52 episodes, which seems like a good time to pause and call it Season 1 and take stock. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of time and effort, but I'm pleased to be creating something of value for eToro users, particularly copytraders. Whether there will be a Season 2 depends on a number of factors. I say it elsewhere, but I want to repeat it again here to really encourage a little action from you. If you want to see the podcast continue, you can help by bringing more listeners in. A lot of people still don't know about Copytraders Club, so post about it on your PI's feed in eToro. Mention it on a Facebook group or in whatever Discord groups you're in. That's not too much of an ask, is it? On the podcast apps, there's always a share function that includes copy link. Use that. Or copy the YouTube channel link and share that. Or share a link to your favourite episode. There are many ways to eat an orange. I also have one of those affiliate links for new eToro signups in every episode's show notes. So, if you know someone interested in signing up, please copy and send them that link and help support the show that way. Now, I know these calls to action that you hear on podcasts can easily be ignored, and I always ignore them myself, let's be honest. But this time, I am asking you, as someone who listens to and enjoys this one-person independent podcast, to make a little effort to help it along. You can even press pause and take 2 minutes to do it right now. If you do, know that I am grateful. If you don't, every time you hear this bit, you will be overcome with a crippling sense of guilt and unworthiness. Until you do. Back to the show. So, aside from the 3 PIs that we've named, who else have you copied in your history?
I don't think I've copied anyone else. I think I've had a look at other people, and I've got kind of a list of people I'd like to look into and copy that I found over the years. But I think those are the only 3 I've copied so far.
Well, I have to say you're something of a poster boy for how to do it right on eToro. If you ask me. You've done very well. Your results are really excellent. And you're adopting the kind of strategy that I hope to adopt for myself as a copy trader. You know, if I am going to be a copier for many years, I'd like to be able to look back in a few years' time with numbers like yours from a combination of copying and crypto. That would be awesome.
Thank you.
So well done.
Thank you.
Do you allocate the same funds to each PI or do you weight them?
When I first copied Jay and Wes, I allocated the same amount of funds to each. And then Liam, I copied with half what I had copying one of them with. So I try and keep it balanced. But at the moment, when Wesley when he added funds, and it was a choice to either add whatever percentage, I think it was, I can't remember what he added, or uncopy and copy him again. I chose for that one, and at the time I think I only copied him again with half of what I originally put in and invested the rest into crypto, as I think that was during a current bearish cycle, so it was quite low down. So I thought I'd try and make some gains on that when or if it went back up, which it did. So now I want to try and cycle that money back out and put it back into a Wesley position.
So you copied Jay because you were put on to Jay by someone else. How much research did you do on Wesley before deciding upon him?
With Wesley, I tried. This was before he had Discord, I believe, or if he did have a Discord group, I didn't know about it. So I kind of just had to go off his most recent or his previous stats that eToro showed at the time. I had to look through all of his positions to see if they were the sort of thing I wanted to copy and get involved in. I can't remember if he had Twitter or anything back then.
Was he making videos?
I don't know. I think he was making videos, but not to the frequency he was now, because obviously back then he wasn't a full-time PI. Yeah, so I just looked through his history and back through all of his positions, and I saw he was using leverage at the time as well, and it was also something I wanted to learn about, so I felt copying him would be a good way to learn exactly how leverage works, exactly what it was.
Why did you want to learn about leverage? So you would use it yourself?
Either so yes, probably so I'd use it myself. I ended up never really using leverage, but it was more because, as I say, when I first started investing, I used, I can't remember, like 10 or 20 times leverage on something on plus 500 and lost money very quickly. So I felt I wanted to, by copying Wes, I'd be able to understand it a little bit better and know exactly why I lost that money and how, and not repeat previous mistakes.
So you don't invest in individual stocks yourself?
No, I haven't got any positions myself in any stocks. I used to, but I prefer to trade crypto myself. I feel I understand it a little bit more and how it works or doesn't work.
You've been on eToro for several years now, and when we're talking about the times when you chose those PIs, sort of what we were unearthing there was there maybe wasn't quite as much info to go on as there is these days. It's becoming more easy thanks to Copytraders Club and the frequency with which people are making videos and things like that. PIs are now talking to each other. You know, they're putting out videos of one-on-one discussions, roundtables. Do you think it's getting much easier to get a handle on what PIs are all about as eToro matures?
Yeah, I'd agree with that and say it is. I think a lot of, especially the bigger PIs, now have, Discord groups that you can jump into. You can talk to copiers in there, talk to the PI, whoever it may be themselves, maybe understand them a bit better. With videos as well, I feel copy trading can be a bit more personal than any other form of sort of investing in any sort of funds or ETFs. I feel there's a lot more accessible ways to contact similar-minded people and to contact the popular investors themselves to understand entirely what you're putting your money into and see if if their ethics and their views on the world line up with yours, if that's what you base your strategy on.
And to develop this lifelong relationship almost that you're talking about with them, the thought that they're going to be managing your money for decades.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm planning on copying someone for 10 years, it's also nice to know that they plan on doing this for 10 years. Some people might come on, have some copiers, and they might only be planning on doing it for 3 or 4 years and then selling out or getting rid of everything to take their profits out to buy a house or something. So it's nice to know, to be able to communicate and find out how long they plan on doing it for, if they, obviously things can change, but it's just nice to know that some people might plan on doing it for the foreseeable future so that you can copy them for a long time.
Fantastic. And you mentioned Discord being a great means of communication. There is, of course, a Discord group for Copytraders Club, link in the show notes. Will we be seeing you there shortly, Adam?
Definitely. I'll be there.
Okay, so we were talking earlier about your success on eToro, and I was praising your approach as being quite a good model for people to follow. It's one that I would certainly aim to follow. Let's talk about terrible, stupid things that copiers do. The main one you've already mentioned is, hoppy copying, jumping around left, right, and center really quickly. That's the road to the poorhouse. What other things do you see? What other behaviors do you see on eToro that you think are mistaken?
I remember seeing quite a lot, maybe not so recently, but a year ago, there were quite a lot of, I think it still happens, where people accidentally short something without understanding what they've done.
Now, that happens all the time. People saying, the sell button, thinking that sell means sell.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, it's going up, but my profit's going down, or my position's going down.
But that's to do with traders rather than copiers. Well, let's talk about other things that copiers do. Well, one thing I would say is insufficient research on a PI, as evidenced by the incredible success of Editor's Choice.
You definitely need to do the research on each PI and make sure they're right for you. Some people obviously can join and they might have had a lot of success outside of eToro, but if they come on and they've only got a short history, maybe they've earned a good amount of profit in that time through one thing or another. But I feel people need to be a lot careful with some things, and definitely do your research on each person and make sure they're right fit for you and a right fit for what your strategy is for investing.
What do you look out for when checking out PIs that might indicate to you that they're maybe not right for you, that they're maybe not as skilled as the PIs that you've already got on board? Because, we've had a few years now of a bull run, really, and there's a lot of people who are doing very well, and it's not necessarily through talent. How do you look out to differentiate between the good PIs and the PIs that just have happened to have done pretty well?
I'd say one main red flag I have when looking at a new PI to invest in is if they've only got, say they're into just tech stocks or something. If they've only got a select few positions, I feel that's something that would put me off. If they've got heavily weighted, 6 or 7 positions rather than spreading it across different sectors and different areas. So basically if they don't have a very well diverse portfolio, I feel that puts me off some PIs. And also I'm not a fan of the long-term trading or more investing where you're holding positions for years, 2 years. I feel I'm after someone who's more, it's not that it's wrong, it's just for me personally, I'm looking to copy someone who's more trading regularly the markets rather than every few years, or might only sell a few positions a year.
And what about in the words that they use to describe themselves in their bio and their pinned post? What are the things you look out for there that would maybe be deal breakers or things that you find particularly attractive?
I feel if anyone's saying anything about you should copy me because I'll give you good returns, or if anyone used the words big profit or anything like that, I feel that would put me off someone, because I feel they're not there for the right reason. Obviously everyone wants to make a good amount of profit and most people want to do it quickly, but I don't feel that's sustainable or a good way to come across.
Do you mean sort of overconfidence, cockiness?
Yeah, I guess to an extent.
The two PIs you copy have very different backgrounds. Wesley's a businessman and comes across as quite an intellectual. Jay is entirely self-taught doesn't come from a background of business in the same way. And eToro is now becoming increasingly populated by guys who've come with training from the world of finance. Where do you stand on that whole issue? How important is it to you that they have a background in this area or formal education in this area?
I don't feel that you need to come from any sort of education specifically to do with, trading or investing or how the stock market works or anything like that to be good as a PI or to find success as a PI. As you say, Jay's not from a financial background, but he invests in what he believes in, what he finds interesting. And I feel that's kind of what you need, because if you find something interesting and you're excited about something, you'll research it, you'll look it up, you'll find out all the information you can about that thing. And if you believe in something, he's very, I'm using Jay as an example again, but he's very environmentally conscious. So that has a huge play on a lot of the things you might trade, of how good they are for the environment and what they're doing. And so again, something that you're passionate about, you'll tend to have more knowledge on. Like, you can have the financial background, you can learn about the stock market and everything, and obviously that's a great thing to do, but I don't feel that it's necessary to become a successful PI.
Yeah, I think there's room for all sorts on eToro. I think there will be successful guys from that kind of background, and there'll always be room for self-taught people and people who are coming at things from their own angle. You talk about Jay and his environmentalism. You also mentioned to me prior to the recording that you heard Sharon Conley last week, and she comes at it from a sort of people angle and employees and how their company's enticing the best talent, because that's her area of knowledge. So, there are many ways to eat an orange as a PI.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And different things will attract different copiers. Certain sections of the copier community will be attracted to the real person who doesn't come from that background and is plain speaking and is able to describe things in simple terms and is passionate. All those things can be very attractive to copiers. So we're not all just looking for some guy with a tie and red braces.
That's the difference with copy trading. I feel you connect with the person more, and you want someone who's a bit charismatic as well. Otherwise, you just go give it to a stockbroker or a hedge fund manager.
Okay, so Jay's your favorite PI, it would appear, Jay and Wesley. What do they do that you would recommend to all PIs to do more of?
I'd say I know a lot of PIs do it anyway, but just a lot of open communication. I feel, with Wes's updates constantly, he's constantly telling you about what he's investing in and, say what's good, what's bad about them, what to look for. The same with Jay, though he doesn't do it communication as much as he used to. He's still, active in the Discord and still does his Q3 and Q&As on Twitch and everything. I just feel communication is one of the most important things for a PI to do to their copiers, just to make sure that, I suppose it's maybe just a peace of mind for the copier, is to know that they're looking into things, they're doing their research.
And do you think it's enough to just simply post on eToro? Or do you think it's becoming increasingly important that PIs go above and beyond in terms of communication?
I feel it's becoming more important to, let's say, go above and beyond, make videos about things, because some people as well they just can't focus on text or don't have the time. So anything that's, video format, audio format, you can listen to throughout your daily activities. I feel with more, it's not needed, but I feel with more people coming to a platform and more popular investors, I feel maybe if you want to stand out, that's more of something you need to do.
I think it's less about standing out. It's more about keeping up with everybody else.
Yeah.
The quality of the communication that people are creating these days is putting pressure, I'd say, on PIs to up their game. And I think in a couple of years' time, you won't get away with being a silent PI.
Yeah, definitely. I feel it's a good pressure that's helping push a good communication and push, as I say, quality content rather than just, anyone could post daily about stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be quality content or quality reading. So it's kind of helping new PIs and current PIs to kind of keep on top of what they're doing and on top of the communication game, as it were, with their copiers.
So what behaviours, Adam, do you consider cardinal sins of PIs?
One issue I have that puts me off PIs if they're every month or every so often topping up their eToro account, because I feel by doing so that puts off the copy trades quite a lot. And I feel if they put money in and then open new positions and you don't have the funds, you're kind of forcing people to add funds at that point. And if they can't, then they're going to desync and maybe not get the newest trades that you're doing. And by doing so, you're risking, like if I had someone who I was copying and every month they were constantly putting in new funds that I couldn't adjust to, I'd feel, well, if I've only, I might get to a point where I've only got half the trades open that they've got open. And then I'd feel like I'm not really keeping up with that copy. So it would question whether I should keep it open or not.
Yeah.
And going back to what I liked about PIs, again, the opposite. If you don't communicate at all, or if you leave huge gaps between communication with your copiers, I feel that's, obviously everyone's got their lives to live and they can be incredibly busy, but I feel from a copier point of view, if someone else copying didn't communicate with me or didn't at least give some sort of update maybe once a month, I just feel like maybe they're not monitoring enough. I know it's not, they obviously have their lives to live and everything, but from someone I want to copy, I want to know that they're using their knowledge and their understanding of the markets and everything to look after my money and invest it wisely in what's moving and what's maybe not doing so well, or what doesn't look so good in the future. And
mine include if a PI adds funds at the end of a losing month, thereby affecting their stats in a positive way for them. In fact, I think eToro should make it a strict rule that they only accept PI funds on the first of every month to stop that happening.
Yeah, or if they could find a way, I don't know how it would work, but so that when you add, because I know it's the same as when you take away funds, it can affect, or it used to be when you took out funds, it can affect your stats. And I feel new deposits or any withdrawals shouldn't really change anything on your stats, because that's, as you say, can be very misleading.
And of course, the other one that I always go on about is PIs that are quoting lifetime returns or annualized returns, where key in that calculation are numbers from years ago when an entirely different strategy was being employed, leveraging crypto, all that kind of stuff. I did mention that to your friend Wesley, who does that a little bit, not as bad as others, but I haven't checked to see whether he has edited his bio since his Copytraders Club appearance.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when he started, he used to use quite a lot of leverage. I remember because I remember in the first year, I think it was, my fees that racked up it got to some astronomical number. And yeah, at that time as well, I didn't fully understand. Well, as I say, trying to learn what leverage was exactly through him. It's like, oh, I know you get some fees from it, but didn't quite realize how much it would add up.
So anything else that puts you off a PI or puts you on to a PI? I mean, if you were a PI, how would you behave? What would be the key elements of your approach? You'd be communicative. You'd make regular videos.
Yeah.
You'd explain your positions as much as possible.
Yeah, I think I'd try and communicate as much as possible. Again, not putting out so much that there's no quality to it, but maybe, a weekly thing. If I feel, especially if I invested in something and it had, a big drawdown, a big dip, or, anything like that, or any movement that was kind of unexplained, or not unexplained, but sudden, I feel I'd always try and communicate that across and try and let everyone know the how, why it happened, what you can expect in the future, what my plan is with that position, whether it be to, cut losses or wait for the next quarter or hold it for a year and see what's going to happen. So I feel, just again, going back to communication, I just feel is very, very important with that. And being honest with every decision. If you make a mistake, just put your hands up and say, look, I did this. It was a mistake. I've cut losses with it, but we've moved those funds over to this, which I think is a great investment.
So let's talk again about your friends who are also on eToro. How are they getting on? Who are they copying? How often do you talk to them about things?
So most people who have gotten into it through either talking to me or decide to go off and or have heard it from me and gone off to find out on their own. I've told them, obviously, the two people I copy that I found most success with are Jay and Wes, and then given them advice on other people to look at for, diversification. And most of them have started since Jay's been copy blocked anyway, so that's not been an issue or an option for them. So most of the people who I've helped get into it are copying Wes at the moment. They mostly have either started this year or late last year. So again, with Wes having a pretty bad year, it's not been great for some of them. But they were stuck with it, because I've when we first talked about it, as I said, you got to move. I always go back to, I can't remember who it was. Someone told me about the Warren Buffett quote of stock market is a device for moving money to the impatient to the patient. And I always quote that to people because I believe it's so true. As you say, with people who hop copy around and, someone has a bad month or two, they'll move to someone else, they end up losing money because they end up paying the spreads on fees again and all of that. But yeah, most of the people who I've talked to got into it. I'm looking at one person's, and they also bought quite a bit of crypto, and that's all doing nicely for them. They've just held that for a year, and that's been doing okay. But I speak to probably 4 or 5 of them pretty daily or weekly. As I was training with one of them, so I spoke to her pretty much every day about it. So, but no, they're all finding success in it and enjoying it at the same time.
And so can we expect lots of pilots in the future to be joining eToro as you chat to them during your flights?
A lot of pilots and cabin crew.
When you're flying your hydrogen-powered Airbus?
Yeah, hopefully that's soon. It's quite interesting. But yeah, expect a lot of pilots and cabin crew to maybe be investing in
Do any of them
eToro.
ever say to you, look, what's the point of copy trading? Why don't I just buy an index-linked ETF? What would your response be to that?
With copy trading, I feel there's more of a personal touch to the person you're copying, because you can obviously get to know them, you can see what their strategies are, which is also where I'd say, some ETFs might not be in line with what your values and views are. If you're primarily green and looking for green investments, they might have a few things in there that aren't in keeping with that. And also with copy trading, I feel, because popular investor is there also to make money and make good returns. And I feel it's more comfortable knowing that there's a person there who's got the strategy that you've researched and you agree with, who, aligns with your morals, or at least mostly aligns with your morals. I guess there's always leeway for a bit of that, whose strategy and history you've looked at and you can feel and you think is in keeping with it, and that they're going to do the best they can and, obviously try and make a good return for you. And for some people, I feel they don't want to, it's something they don't want to look at, daily, weekly, monthly, something they might just want to put money in and leave. I feel that's a good copy trading can be, as long as you're careful and, maybe set a copy stop loss if your plan is to kind of leave it for a year or 2 years and not look at it a huge amount. It's something where if you research someone and see what they're doing and you agree with it, then you could potentially put your money there and just leave it and let them do what they're best at.
So what one feature would you really love to see on eToro?
This isn't so much for me, but I feel for new people joining, because my partner recently signed up to eToro just to do the virtual stuff and see how that goes. And they said there was a lot of information about what everything is, but it's all kind of text and some of it can be a bit hard to follow. So I feel I'd quite like a good amount of video content, or at least if they do have video content, easy links to find that content, so that new people who are starting out, don't have the issue like we talked earlier of clicking sell thinking they're selling the position they have when really they've now opened a short position in that asset. And understanding, what I know they have now with leverage, at least they've got the locks behind it anyway, so it's quite hard to use that, I think. But yeah, I think just make more interactive content maybe for new people starting out, so they can like fully understand everything, and maybe push the virtual portfolio a bit more and get people to start on that and learn a bit through that before jumping into the deep end, as it were.
Yeah, I'm always going on about a series of welcome videos. Maybe with two avenues, one for copy traders and another for people who are wanting to do their individual trades. But like a gentle introduction to the platform so that you have a clue what you're doing. Because most people don't have a clue. Most copiers are completely clueless, don't you think?
Yeah, I feel a lot of people can come in and, I suppose a website can be quite daunting at first. You don't really know where to look for what, and the discover page. The discover page looks nice, but again, if you've never been on it before and never heard of some things, like you've never heard of ETFs, or you don't really know what indices and everything are, you could get lost on that page, and then you don't really know what you might be looking for.
All right, Adam, final question. If you were in my shoes, what one question would you like to have asked yourself that I didn't?
I'd say maybe asking what my biggest learning point would have been over the years.
So tell me, Adam, what's been your biggest learning point over the years on eToro?
I would say what I would have told my earlier self, I guess, would have been to diversify more. As when I first started out, 2017, it was fine up to the end, but then 2018 was I suppose it was a painful year for a lot of people, but I feel I was very heavily I was copying, Jay and Wes, but I feel it was probably more like 85% of my portfolio was in crypto. And I feel for, 2 years, I was just, every time I'd open it up, just staring at red. So I'd say my biggest learning point is just diversify, the importance of diversification, and not having a huge percentage of my portfolio in one asset, as I think I also had, 50% of my portfolio in, I can't remember what it was, but I think maybe Bitcoin or Dash was like one of my major positions back then. And I still hold on to my Dash from back then, and it's still red. So I think just spreading it out a bit more evenly as well would be one point.
Well, you've still got 64% in crypto today, so you haven't gone too far to the other side of the risk curve.
Yeah, it's still high, and I'm trying to. I am slowly moving it around. As I say, it was less so at the beginning of the year, and then I feel this year I've been kind of looking towards the next bull run in cryptos and the next kind of increase of it. So that's why it's kind of snuck its way back into and back up to the 64%. But soon I should be moving that out and getting that down to at least 40% over the next few months.
Well, your crypto exposure might not be for everyone, but you've done a lot of things right, it seems to me, since you've been on eToro, and you've made a lot of good decisions about how to approach copy trading, and your results have been excellent. So congratulations on the success so far.
Thank you. Let's hope it continues.
Indeed, let's hope your success continues, but this is where today's chat must end, Adam. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been good to be here.
So there you go, listener. What are the secrets to his success? Well, putting the crypto to one side and looking at his copy trading success, a long-term approach, careful PI selection, patience, trust, and monitoring. Does that sound like you? That's all from me. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just generic chit-chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.